1380 KCIM Sports presents KCIM Sports Rewind. A look back at the week in high school sports. Brought to you by St. Anthony Rehab Services. Here's Sports Director Jeff Blankman, John Ryan, and Jeff Honnold.
Well, not exactly. Casey Miner's in once again here this morning, and welcome to the next half hour of your life you'll never get back. It's KCIM Sports Rewind.
Do we apologize for that?
No. Are we getting that half hour back about our lives? No. So you're in the same boat we are, people. Yeah. Suck it up and live with it. So, welcome to our future. Well, that's a bright, happy note to get started on, isn't it?
Yes. I must have dampened the mood in here when I came in.
You came in and just rained all over my parade, man. I was in a good mood until Blankman showed up. Yeah. Casey, have you been around him this morning?
No, I'm just getting awake. So,
okay. Probably by the time you walk out of here, you're going to be in a horrible mood. By the way,
I'll be rainbows and sunshine for the rest of the half an hour.
I'd prefer not, if you would not, please. Did you guys watch the Kentucky Derby?
No.
Oh man, I am not a Derby watcher. I don't watch it. I don't bet on it. But it made me kind of wish I did.
Really?
The photo finish.
Okay.
Didn't you see that?
No.
Oh man,
I heard three horses.
All three horses were right there.
Okay.
And it was Mystic Dan that won. And I'm thinking the second place horse, like the cartoons, should have stuck his tongue out, and it would have got across the finish line before the other guys did. But, it was literally that close. I've never seen a finish like that in real life.
So was Mystic Dan the favorite? Do you know?
No, he was like 15 to 1, 16 to 1.
Okay.
So, yeah, wouldn't you love to put a little bet on that one? The second place horse was 5 to 1.
Okay. So, because the reason why I was asking is I was listening to a little sports talk about it ahead of time on a podcast, and they were saying that there was a horse that was clearly going to get out in front. And they thought that this horse could potentially win the Triple Crown, but they said that this horse doesn't close well. So the question was going to be whether or not it could hold off the other competition to win. So I was wondering if maybe that was Mystic Dan or not.
No clue.
Okay.
I didn't watch, literally none of the pregame, because they've got the show on for like 5 hours. It's like the Super Bowl. It's got the show on for 5 hours. The race is the last 10 minutes.
Yes.
And that's all anybody really wants to get to is that race.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I've never really watched.
Yeah, the only thing that I saw was Nikola Jokic running back and forth between TV timeouts and timeouts on the court to check to see how his horse was doing in the Derby. That's the only thing I saw. Yeah.
Was that what he was doing? That is pretty funny. I didn't realize that.
Maybe he needs to be focused on basketball a little bit more. He's an amazing player. I'm just saying that because Minnesota
they're down
absolutely thumped them and dominated last night.
Yeah, who would have saw that game coming? In Denver, they win the first two. Minnesota goes in there and takes the first two.
I will tell you what, if you like exciting basketball players, if you have not watched Anthony from Anthony Edwards.
A lot of people say he plays like Jordan. I've been seeing a lot of stuff about that.
Yeah, and it's on both ends of the floor. I mean, he's absolutely shutting down Denver defensively right now, and then they can't seem to stop him. I know Karl Anthony Towns had a big game for them last night, but when he wants to get to the rim and when he wants to score, whether it be the mid-range jumper, whether it be attacking all the way to the rim, whether it hitting a three, he just kind of scores whenever he wants to. He has potential to be really, really, really special.
All right, so speaking of that, I do have a trivia question for you this morning. Okay. I told you I didn't have one before that, but this subject just came up, and I've been saving back questions. Nikola Jokic, is that how you say his name? Jokic. Whatever. He's the heavy favorite to win a third MVP. Let's see, only 8 other players have done that, 3 MVPs. Who are they? There's 8 of them.
8 of them?
Can you give me even 5?
No.
We'll let you think about that one. And, 90% of them were before Casey's time.
I was going to say I probably can come close. Are we doing it at the end?
Yeah, we'll do that at the end.
Okay.
With that along with it, when do you want to do the top 5?
I don't know. Did you bring it with you?
I do have it with me. Yeah.
Do you? Are you ready to do it?
We can do it. So we did top 5.
Hold on with the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So
we're ready to unveil, first of all, the category, which we unveiled 2 weeks ago, and then neglected to do last week because, well, we're not that smart. What was the topic again?
Top 5 dressed coaches, and we had to go back to all sports.
Top 5 best dressed coaches.
Yes. So we did. We actually ran through every coach that we cover for every sport and put together what we thought was. We had more than 5.
We did have more than 5.
It down.
And we kind of whittled it down.
Yep.
Okay. So let's do it. Give me the first one there.
And this is in no particular order. At 1, we had Ken Massey, just because he showed up in a suit and shorts.
Yeah.
Suit and shorts.
For a soccer game.
Yeah. Please tell me they were cargo shorts.
I don't think
they were suit pants shorts. Yeah. So, however, I don't know how he has it done, but his suit pants are shorts. They're like literally suit pants that are shorts.
Wow, I didn't know they made such a thing.
Yeah, he probably has it specially made.
So suit shorts is number 5. Number 4.
Then we had Caitlin McAllister. Because during the basketball season she was pregnant and had to wear a bunch of maternity clothes, so she was always nicely dressed.
Yeah, always in some kind of a dress or really nice skirt type thing or whatever. But yeah, absolutely.
Because they just don't make coaches shorts for pregnant women.
Yes,
I'm just it's a thing.
Yep.
All right, so number 3.
Brandy Gruen from Audubon Volleyball. I felt like every time we went there, she was, most coaches nowadays, wear the pants and the polos and the shoes. Mm-hmm. But we were kind of looking for somebody that doesn't wear what everybody typically does. She's typically nicely dressed as well.
Yeah, she's usually wearing something fairly nice, really nice. So yeah.
All right, we're on to number 2.
Steve Nutzman with his high pulled up black socks.
Yep.
I'm thinking, okay, I know Steve. Where did this come from?
Yeah, he wears the black socks and they're pulled all the way up.
All the way up to his knees with shorts.
It's a daring look that most people can't pull off.
Yes, but Steve pulls it off well.
Is it his calves or his thighs that set off the socks, or is it?
It's probably the calves because they don't go all the way up to the thighs.
You look horribly uncomfortable answering that question, by the way. So
I'm uncomfortable with this entire discussion.
And the number 1 best dressed coach.
We had Eric Noggle for 2 things.
Oh,
his sweater vest that he wears sometimes during wrestling.
Can't beat his good sweater vest.
And then him on the sidelines with the
accessory.
with the headset on, and has got a sucker out of his mouth through 4 quarters of a football game.
Yeah,
man, sweater vest and the sucker.
Yeah, we're hoping that at one of the wrestling meets coming up next winter that he does the sweater vest and also the sucker, because the sucker's only during the football season, but we're hoping that we can get him to do both, and then we'll definitely make sure that Story Han's at that one, so we get the classic photo of it.
Could we get all 5 coaches together to wear their outfits? We might need photos of them.
That'd be tough.
We could try. We could try. Yeah.
So there you go. There's the 5 best dressed coaches. Our top 5 list here on KCIM Sports Rewind.
So are we going to think of a list for next week and announce by the end of the show, or what?
We need something.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've been carrying you guys for a couple of weeks now.
That is true. How's the back?
It's not good.
Okay.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Well, there's a lot of weight over here. So,
what are we going to talk about this week? Because there's not a ton. I mean, outside of like NBA basketball, things like that, there's not a ton. Oh, Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
The other day, did you hear her get announced?
Get announced.
It was they were playing a preseason game in Dallas.
Yep.
She got the most thunderous applause during her introduction. She scored 21 points that night.
Yep.
And they said the arena was jam packed. And everybody who had gone to WNBA games for Dallas said, man, they always had the top arena sections tarped off.
Right.
Like nobody can sit up there. There's not enough ticket sales. Place was jam-packed to the rafters.
Yep.
It was crazy to see.
Yeah, that's going to be every arena that she plays at, and stuff. And I think every franchise that can move to a bigger arena has already done that for when Indiana's coming to town. So, yeah.
See, I've had this conversation with Nathan in the morning. Do you think it's going to last more than like a year? Do you think those fans?
I mean, it just depends on how she plays. I think. If she plays well enough, I think ticket sales you might see them dip a little bit, but I still feel like people want to go see her, and the demand for tickets to be high.
Mm-hmm. As long as she can keep draining threes and doing all that, she's going to have the younger fan base that will want to go to those games, and parents will be more than happy to take them to that. So I think it's outstanding. Yeah, I think she's got the staying power of like Michael Jordan or someone like that for her sport. she's going to be that person to bring those crowds in, night out through her whole career.
Well, and if you have kind of followed a little bit as I have what's going on with the preseason right now. She had a nice game that first game out, but so did Angel Reese. I know that Cardoso got hurt and is now going to be out for a month, but she played well. Cameron Brink played really well in her preseason game so far. So, Caitlin's the face of all of it, but you got that kind of that whole group that came in this year that's all going out, and I think that's going to make it easier to continue to draw people to the WNBA if you've got a bunch of different players that are stepping in and playing extremely well, and I think you're seeing some of that. So,
golden age of WNBA.
Very possibly could be. And I will throw this out, and this is not a knock on Caitlin Clark, so please don't take it this way. Everybody's talking about what she's doing, and she is doing wonderful things for the attendance and all that stuff, but I didn't realize this until a couple of weeks ago. I read an article. The WNBA this last season, for a second year in a row, already had broken their attendance record and already had broken their best year for television view. So the WNBA was already starting to climb. She's just taking it out of the stratosphere.
With this draft class, it's going to help a lot, too, because I think they have a new TV deal coming up at the end of the year, too, so it's going to help. So if numbers keep going up, it's going to help them out in TV deal-wise.
So the WNBA was already kind of starting to gain some footing, but Caitlin in that recruiting class, and led, of course, by Caitlin, is I think going to make it explode, especially with, as Casey said, the new TV deal coming up.
I was reading X the next day after her 21-point debut, and people are still just harassing Diana Taurasi for just kind of taking that negative tone, which is, she's going to have to adjust to this. She's playing against, grown women of 26, 27, or 28.
Well,
but the way she said it was negative. I get what she said. I don't disagree with what she said, but the way it kind of came out was just wrong.
Right. But I will say this, and again, 21 points the other night, but didn't shoot the ball well, didn't play well in the second half, had just 6 points and stuff because defenses adjusted and started getting more physical with her, and had more turnovers than she had assists and rebounds combined. So when you dig into the whole number, she's still an amazing player, but it wasn't as easy in the college level as what it was at least the opening night in the WNBA. So
that was game one.
Yep, absolutely.
So, there's a whole lot more to come.
What I'm saying is Diana Taurasi might have a little bit of a point. She's still going to be a great player, but it wasn't as easy that first night, especially in the second half.
Had she just put it a little easier, but she's just a very blunt person. I don't know. I've never seen an interview with her.
I've never seen, as I said before, I've never seen an athlete at that level, whether it be a man or a woman, go, this young person that's going to come in is going to dominate our league and they're going to be way better than me. People at that level are the best of the best, and they're competitive and they're going to take the challenge on, and there's not going to be a one of them that's going to bow down to some young player that's coming in, no matter how good they think they are. So I don't know. I said it a few weeks ago, and I'll say it again. I think people need to get over what Diana Taurasi said and leave it alone. Yeah. That's just my own opinion.
So also that came out this morning, the Associated Press came out with a story about the suspended athletes, about the betting scandal for Iowa and Iowa State and all that. Apparently the agent came out and said that a lot of what they were doing, investigating, was to impress the higher-ups, to get recognition for themselves. So they decided if it ruins someone's scholarship or something like that, so be it. That's where it was going to have to be. So this, I think, just the tip of the information that's going to come out. That bombshell is coming out eventually.
I would say that the person that sent that email out will be terminated.
Christopher Adkins, I believe was his name.
And probably will be named in some lawsuits. Stuff. So, he thought he was going to use kids as a stepping stone to where he wanted to be, and more than likely has probably ruined his career and probably going to be in some financial issues over this, is what I'm guessing. So.
Don't tell me that the lawyers aren't lining up for more civil lawsuits over this, because it's going to happen immediately. So, also, one last thing I got before I waste half the show here. Tom Brady, did you watch any of the roast?
I did not, but I saw some of the clips, and they were outrageous, and they were funny, and then some of them were like, was that just said?
Yeah. There were a few cringe-worthy moments.
But there always is when they do roast, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. And one of the comedians on had a great line, and I cut it out of the highlights there.
Tom, I really wanted you to be our first goat to be roasted because you're an example to future generations that if you work hard, eat right, film the other team's practices, deflate the balls, and have the NFL make new rules just for you, then you too can be the third most famous guy in a Dunkin' Donuts commercial. USA!
That it was awesome.
That is, that's
one of the best.
Yeah.
And then Coach Bill Belichick got up there and says, there was debate whether it was, was it the success of the Patriots, was it due to Tom Brady? Was it due to me? Was it Brady? Was it me? He said, in reality, the truth of the matter is it was both of us. Because of me. So, Bill Belichick even throwing a little shade.
I know at one time when they got up there, I think maybe it was Julian Edelman got up there and was like, somebody said something about, I think it was Drew Bledsoe said, after I got fired, there was already somebody calling and asking for me. And then he goes, Bill, that wasn't the case for you.
Ouch, a little revenge going there.
So I've got a question. Besides the gotta make the donuts guy, who is the other person that's more famous for Dunkin' Donut commercials than Tom Brady?
Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
Yeah, they were in the commercial.
The two Boston guys.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I don't remember those commercials. So,
Tom Brady was just the DJ dude, I think. In those
he was. Okay.
Correctly.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Now I get it.
Yeah.
So, okay.
But also there was one other one. Tom Brady got to talk about some of the other people that roasted him. And Peyton Manning, he had a great line about him. He says, "Thanks so much for coming out to L.A. to do this. I know sometimes you live in Denver, sometimes you live in Louisiana, but always remember you live in my shadow." Properly savage right there.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to move on. We're going to talk about state qualifying. You got tons of track going on for this week. We'll do that coming up next.
Athletes at your house prepare for hard work and fun of the season. Remember that St. Anthony Rehab Services provides physical therapy for any sports injury that may sideline your member of the team. Sports injuries can plague kids of all ages and keep them from playing the sport they love. Athletes will be under the direct supervision of a certified and licensed healthcare professional in the newly renovated sports performance facility. If an injury is keeping your athlete out of the game, call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
It is KCIM Sports Rewind. Let's talk some real high school sports now. State track taking center stage this week, fair to say?
Yeah, I would say on Thursday. I think the golfers and the tennis players would probably, holler that they're busy this week as well. And I do want to give a quick congratulations out to Kaylee Simons from the Gepper girls tennis team. Qualified for state as an individual yesterday in singles by winning her state qualifying, meet and going perfect in not just in matches, but perfect in sets. She won all 4 of her matches yesterday to love. So congratulations goes out there.
So just a clarification, do they qualify by flights or do they just qualify overall? It's like an open tournament. There was singles and doubles tournaments yesterday throughout the state, and she's one of the singles players that will go in. So it sounds like everybody was thrown into the mix.
Yeah, you could potentially even play, if I understand it correctly, you could potentially play your own teammate.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So everybody,
Yep.
every day, I think each team had 2 single players, and they kind of threw them into this bracket, and you had to make your way out, and Kaylee Simons.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So each team, if you have a full 6 players, which is normally what you play with in tennis, you had 2 players, number 1 singles, and then number 2 singles, and then you would have, or actually just 2 singles players. I'm so used to regular season tournaments where they go number 1 singles, and then you had 2 doubles teams. And she was the only area girl yesterday to advance. The boys don't start until later on this week. And then hard to believe, boys golf sectionals really kick off today, but for the most part it's just one school, Glidden Ralston. They're going to be teeing off here in about 12 minutes. I was kind of talking with Andy Golay, their girls and boys coach, yesterday, and he's like, yeah, it's going to be a long week. We're teeing off at 10 o'clock in the morning up at Brookside, which is up by Kingsley Pearson. He's like, we're going to be on the road by about 6 a.m. on Tuesday morning, and then on Friday morning, the girls got about a 2-hour drive to where their tournament is at, and they're teeing off at 9 o'clock in the morning. So there's going to be 2 different mornings this week that Andy's going to be on the road at 6 a.m. to haul the Glidden Ralston golf teams to. So is that not the greatest thing in the world, to be able to get out of school and go golfing at 9 o'clock in the morning? Is that
that not the sport that everybody should be playing?
Yeah.
If you're a morning person.
Yeah.
Maybe if they teed up
is
and
not.
When I was in high school, I always dreaded those early morning soccer tournaments because we were leaving at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what am I up for this right now?
Good thing you didn't wrestle.
Yes, I know.
Your career,
I was just going to say you'd be up at about 6 a.m.
Yeah. Nago would have got you to be a morning
I know.
person.
That's what I'm afraid of.
But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how they do up there today, and then the rest of the teams for golf get underway tomorrow and stuff like that. I'm really intrigued to see, kind of how Kemper does, how Kuhn does, how Audubon does. Those are probably the overall teams that have the best chance to be able to move on the boys' side of things. And you mentioned school. I knew there was something I was trying to remember to say, but I won't say which school, but I was out at the conference tournament yesterday here in town, and the kids were done early, and they were like, yeah, let's take our time getting results in because we don't have to go back for the last hour of school. So they were hoping to get the rest of the and I'm like, seriously, you guys will have to go back for 8th period if you, or or that's what it was back in my day. I don't know if it's still 8th period or not, but yeah, they if they got back to town in time, they would have to go back to school, which makes sense.
Kind of wish they weren't golfing in Carroll then.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that'll be the problem up in Kingsley Pearson today. And then state track qualifying meets do come up again on Thursday. Carroll's going to be down at Atlantic. Audubon girls and Kemper will be at Trainer. ESAC and South Central Calhoun will be at Manson, Northwest Webster. And then the Audubon boys, Coon Rapids, Baird, Glidden, Ralston, and Peyton Sheridan all going to be at Earlham, with Arweva and IKM Manning up at Westwood. And just for anybody that kind of follows how we cover, Casey's going to be running down to Atlantic that night. Well, we'll say driving. I'm not going to make you run, but he'll head down there. I'm going to head up to Manson. We won't be doing video interviews that night, but we will be set up so that we can tweet out the results as they happen, so we can let you know on Twitter, on the CB Sports Network Twitter page, who we know as the automatic qualifiers. And then we're also going to be updating our story that we usually write on the Brinks Exterior Sports Report. So that will be typed up and being updated as the night goes on. So if you want to jump on the website, you'll be able to find that.
Nice.
And then when we get back, we'll type up the other 3 or 4 sites and get those out as quickly as we can. And then usually it's sometime on Saturday or Sunday that they put out the full list of qualifiers. So
yeah, it's going to be, and you guys are expecting an extensive list.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes. Yeah. I sat down.
Do we have any idea what the record is for kids going?
Yeah. 174 different kids.
Oof,
yeah. So that was back before we started doing video interviews.
Well, that would have been terrible.
Yeah. I told Casey, I'm like, I don't think, back then I went down all by myself. I'm like, I don't think there was any way possible. It was tough enough even trying to just call back and do updates and stuff, because most of the media people that are doing those type of things set up in the press box. I like to be down on the field, so I stand down there by the finish line and walk around all the different events. So if we got a long jumper or a high jumper, I can go kind of chat with him even before doing video interviews. But when you're standing out there with a tablet trying to write down every time of every kid that runs, so you can compare and figure out if your kid's qualified for finals or not, and and stuff, it was really, really hectic. Luckily now we've got Nick Brink sitting up in the booth. So state track coverage, we'll talk about that next week on Tuesday. So
Nick's great at that because he's close to the concessions. So,
yes.
And he gets to update other hours. So it's right up Nick's alley.
And he gets to hang out with some really cool radio guys, and they have a really fun. I did laugh because I told him, I said, I'm getting old enough now that this being down there on my feet all day for 14, 15 hours, I might have to move up to the booth one of these days. And he looked at me and he says, "That's the year I retire."
You're not taking his cush job.
Yeah, no. So.
But yeah, hanging out with those radio people, that's not a selling point, by the way.
It is for him.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, he's made some really good friends with, some of the guys. And then the funny thing is some of the guys will actually come down onto the field now and give me a hard time about things that Nick's telling them about me. So.
What you don't know, you don't need to know.
Yes, I always learn because they give me a hard time. And then Friday is the girls golf regionals again. We kind of ran through all of the locations for that a week ago or so. And then Saturday is the Kemper and Audubon boys tennis competition. So it'll be the team competition. and stuff. They'll be playing. Kemper goes over to Denison, Schleswig, and Audubon goes down to Glenwood. And then Friday is also the team competition for the girls in tennis. Kemper will take on Des Moines Hoover over at Boone, and Audubon will take on St. Albert over at Denison, and that is on Friday. So, like I said, it's crazy. And then boys and girls pairings have come out for soccer. These were just released yesterday, so we'll run you through here real quick. Part of it gets underway next Monday, the 13th, in Class 1A. We've got ESAC and Kemper both in the same sub-state. They wouldn't play each other until the sub-state final, but ESAC hosts AHSD Avoca Walnut, and Kemper is home to Loma in the first round, and then the winner will play either the 1 seed or the 2 seed out of that sub-state.
If I'm correct, I think Kemper wins, they play Western Christian, and if ESAC wins, Unity Christian. Yep.
And Western's the 1 seed, and Unity's the 2. Carroll opens up with Harlan, but they get a bye in the first round, so Carroll, if they beat Harlan, they're in the sub-state final, more than likely against Glenwood, who looks like it's probably going to be the other team in that. So Carroll's got to just win 1 game to be into a sub-state final. And then girls pairings out for everybody but Carroll High. Kemper will open up on Wednesday the 15th at Harlan in Class 1A Region 6, and ESAC opens up at home with Sioux Center in Class 1A Region 4 and stuff. And then again, Carroll's pairings are supposed to be released this coming Thursday.
Kind of surprised they're taking the Kemper girls on the road with them being 8-6, 9-6 right now.
Yeah, and the team that they're playing against, I think, is right at 500. So yeah, but that tells you that a lot of times the stuff's already the last games are like a week or two ago and stuff. So they just take a little while to put the pairings out. So
you guys, last night we're up in Sac City, big track meet going on up there.
Yeah, had fun. I will be.
Got out of there before it started to rain, so
we did, and they got the entire meet in. 2 things I want to bring up about that. One, thoughts go out to Emma Myers, senior up at South Central Calhoun, injured bad last night at the meet, and they had to take her to the hospital. And for a senior, would have probably qualified for state in a few events to have that happen. You know,
what did happen
during a handoff? I don't know exactly how it happened, but stepped on one of her teammates' back of her leg, and kids get cleated all the time during handoffs, but I don't know if you saw it happen or not.
No, I didn't see it happen.
But went down and ended up injuring the lower part of her leg. So again, thoughts go out to her. And then a really cool thing that happened last night, off of a bad thing. South Central Calhoun normally hosts 5 track meets in a year. All 5 of those this year canceled because of weather and storms, so they didn't get a home track meet this year. Well, with the relationship, it's a rivalry between ESAC and South Central Calhoun, but I thought ESAC stepped up last night and did something really, really cool. They reached out to South Central yesterday. It was senior recognition night for ESAC last night at that track meet. South Central was coming to that meet. They recognized the South Central Calhoun seniors last night before they did the ESAC seniors, so they gave the South Central Calhoun seniors a senior night. I thought that was really cool.
Way to go, East Sac County. I mean,
tip your cap to Morgan Wilkie, who had the idea, and then Chaps Wilkie, the AD, to approve it, and everybody else there to kind of get things put together. So I thought that was really cool.
Parents, you got to go. Man, that's just a class move.
It is absolutely 2 schools that are rivals when they're on the field competing with each other. It's not friendly, but last night shows you that it's a sport, and there are things bigger than sports, and honoring those seniors last night was definitely bigger.
Very cool. I mean, what are the odds you don't get any of the 5 in?
With the way weather we've had, it's kind of crazy.
I think in my 20 years here, this is the first time that South Central didn't get at least 1 home meet in. So
all right. So we'll have to think about next week's top 5.
Yep.
We'll reveal it next week. We'll have to work on that a little bit. But getting back to our trivia question, so Nikola Jokic, probably the favorite to win the 3rd NBA MVP. 8 other players have done it. Give me 5.
Okay, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Wilt Chamberlain.
Hold on, my ding doesn't go that fast.
Okay. Wilt Chamberlain?
Wilt Chamberlain, yes.
Bill Russell?
Bill Russell.
So there's the 5 right there.
There's the 5. Can you keep going?
Let me see if I can.
Did you say the one that has 6 leading the way?
It said Michael Jordan, right?
No, he's not Michael Jordan.
Okay. 6 and
Michael Jordan has 5.
Has LeBron won that many?
LeBron has won 4.
Okay.
Not 6.
Trying to.
So you're missing the number one and the final person on the
I
list.
wouldn't know.
Jerry West?
No.
Okay.
All-time leading scorer for a long time.
Oh, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
There you go.
Yeah. And he was, when you first brought up the question, he was one of the first guys that came into my mind.
Yeah.
Okay,
And the last guy on the list to win 3, I believe is
Tim Duncan?
No, not Jim Duncan, but
Tim.
Oh, Tim. No, not Tim Duncan.
Okay. Should have won 3. He was great.
Wasn't he? Wasn't his nickname Chocolate Thunder?
Oh, Daryl Dawkins or Charles Barkley?
It's Moses Malone.
Oh, Moses Malone.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought his nickname was that.
It's
a long time ago.
That was Daryl Dawkins. That was because he kept shattering backboards.
Shattering the backboards. That's right. Okay. So Moses Malone.
Malone. I would have not thought of Moses, but as a Philadelphia 76ers fan as a kid,
he was the mailman, right?
No, that was Karl Malone.
And see, I'm still confusing my Malones and everybody else.
Yeah. No, Moses was he was on that '83 Sixers championship team with Dr. J and Andrew Toney and Bobby Jones and Maurice Cheeks as the point guard. And it's so weird that I can go back and name the '83 championship team from the Sixers. But if you ask me to name half of the Lakers starting lineup for this year, I have no clue. I can still run through the starting lineup for the Cincinnati Reds in 1977, and I was like 6 years old.
I can name you Boston Celtics starting fives for everything from the 80s on, pretty much. But then at the end of the 80s, once Larry Bird and Kevin McHale and those guys retired, lost it all. I just stopped with the NBA.
That's that '83 Sixers team knocked those guys off to go and then beat the Lakers in the finals.
Oh, I used to hate the Sixers.
I know.
Now I don't mind them because Nick Nurse is there. But unfortunately, Nick saw his season come to an end too.
Yeah.
At the hands of the Knicks. So NBA playoffs are getting kind of fun though.
They are.
Now that the Timberwolves are in there and the Nuggets won last year, there's starting to be some different teams other than the Lakers and the Warriors.
This is going to be just the second time they said in 14 years that either Miami or Golden State won't be in the finals because they've both been. Golden State got knocked out in the play-in tournament. Miami got knocked out in the first round. But one or the other of those two franchises has been in the NBA finals 13 of 14
Probably been pretty close to the same thing with LeBron and Steph Curry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because LeBron made 12 straight or something like that. Yeah. So.
Even those stats, I have no idea about any of that. So that is KCIM Sports Rewind for this week. We'll unveil the next top 5 coming up next week. So stay tuned right here with KCIM and catch a podcast of this program available on the website in moments.